by Sandie Keene from the Association of Directors of Adult Social Services and the Australian journalist Paul Bleakley. It's good to be on the programme tonight. Sandie, let's start with you, because as Rebecca said, it actually can be far more serious than a cold weather bout in this country. I mean, how concerned are you by the vulnerable people that your society looks after?
Well, certainly we're concerned, and we're gearing up staff and our local areas to make sure that we are giving extra vigilance and providing extra advice to people. We also welcome your attention on this programme because we want to advise friends, neighbours, family, other people to check on those who are most vulnerable and perhaps less able to look after themselves in these hot temperatures.
And Paul, we're not used to the heat in this country. I'm sure, I don't know how long you've lived here for, but it's the first hot summer for 7 years. Some people are certainly enjoying it. How do you cope in Australia, where things are far harder there, aren't they? You get far hotter summers.
Absolutely, Emma. Where I'm from, it's not uncommon for us to have 40-degree days for weeks at a time. I think the difference is that we've grown up with it. So we know that the sun can be your best friend, but it can also be your worst enemy. Australia's got one of the highest skin cancer rates in the entire world. We spend half our lives outside. So I think that knowing that, we've become prepared for it in terms of infrastructure, in terms of teaching our children how to look after themselves, and in terms of just generally having it as a part of our lifestyle. I think that's the key difference.
And it's certainly not part of our lifestyle, is it, Sandie?
No,
so if you live in a street and there's some elderly neighbours who are not that far away, what do you think people should do? What's your advice to them?
I think for people who are known, obviously we're not encouraging strangers to knock on doors, but for family, friends and neighbours, it's about giving very practical advice to people. And on a personal level, it's about maintaining hydration and keeping drinking lots of water, regular drinking through the day, having that available. But also it's about wearing loose clothing, keeping cool, if possible staying in the coolest part of the house. For windows that are on direct sunlight, closing curtains, just very practical things to reduce the temperature in people's homes and to reduce the temperature that they may experience. So things like having a cold flannel by your side that you could perhaps use if you get over hot. And you've already mentioned about turning off equipment that may not be necessary, because it's everything that raises the temperature in a room that we need to make sure is reduced.
And for the rest of us, Paul, what's your advice? Do you think we should stop moaning about it and enjoy it? What's your observation so far of a hot British summer?
It's quite funny, actually. As an Australian, you do notice that you guys do go a little bit crazy when it gets anywhere over 25, I think it is. Going bathing in fountains and such. You see that all the time. I think the main advice to give is like Sandie said, also keep hydrated. Also adjust your lifestyle. Just because it's hot. It'd be good
if we could, but we've got to work, haven't we?
Well, that's it. But you walk around central London today, and you'd see literally hundreds of people taking their normal midday run. If it's over 30 degrees, then you're actually, in a sense, self-harming by going for a run, because you are, you're not adjusting for the heat, for the conditions. So that would definitely be one of the key things that we'd want to get across. Adjust your lifestyle, because you'll never beat the sun. You'll never beat the heat.
Briefly, Sandie, could the government do more? I know there's certainly one motion going through that's saying if it's too hot in a workplace, people shouldn't have to work. It's a bit silly, isn't it?
Well, I think that people again need to adjust. People do, for offices that aren't temperature controlled, one needs to make sure that there is that ventilation. But there are flexible work patterns that people can apply, and they need to be sensible about these things.
So how are you going to enjoy the weekend, Paul? Off to the beach?
Off to the beach, yeah. I grew right next to the beach, so I'm kind of used to that, but apparently the thing to do is go to the park in London. I think that's what we'll be doing this weekend.
And keep your T-shirt on, please.
That's it.
Thanks so much for joining us, Sandie and Paul. Thanks for your advice as well.